Welcome to the Peak of Geek, where we've hit the top but with no plans to stop. As the snow gently begins to fall, and we start to notice those red and green colored lights everywhere, it's important to remember what matters most at this time of year. Watching movies with friends and loved ones so we can get even the grinchiest of us into the holly jolly mood. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd rather binge sci-fi and fantasy epics like The Hobbit or the Lord of the Rings trilogies, or even the original Star Wars trilogy, but I get it. Sometimes you want a more seasonal-related experience, but maybe you're sick of all the classics. Let's be honest with ourselves. Who really wants to watch Home Alone or It's a Wonderful Life again? Or yet another adaptation of A Christmas Carol? So this year, be the holiday hero that your family and friends need, and suggest one of these unconventional choices for your next movie night. Some of these you will have heard of, but I guarantee there are a few gems you haven't. So grab your favorite holiday-themed snack, and let's get into it. I still don't know why there's so much controversy around this one. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and for that matter, so is the sequel. Okay, yes, they both also happen to be awesome edge-of-your-seat action movies, but that legendary first one also checks all the boxes to get everyone in the right holiday mood. For that one person who hasn't seen Die Hard, yeah, I see you. Our hero John McClane, played by the always charming Bruce Willis, is on the outs with his wife because he's a cop who cares too much about his job. He's on his way to visit her and his kids for the holidays, and he stops by her workplace, the Nakatomi Plaza, for a Christmas party. Soon, a group of radicals led by Alan Rickman in one of his finest villain roles takes everyone hostage, but our boy John escapes into the vents. And so begins a cat and mouse game between a heavily armed group of bad guys and our unwilling hero, with only one outside source of help: Officer Carl Winslow. Alright, let's briefly touch on a few festive elements that combine together to make this one totally watchable with a cup of candy cane flavored hot chocolate. A few spoilers abound here, but honestly, other than that one person from earlier, everyone else has seen Die Hard, right? Well, it's obviously Christmas time here. We got the decorations, multiple trees, John has come with gifts for the kids, and everything happens during a Christmas party. And hey, John's wife's name? Holly? I mean, come on. You'll also see Santa Claus, sort of, complete with his iconic catchphrase, "Ho, ho, ho, I have something, something." Probably presents for all the kids. And don't forget, wrapping paper tape plays a pivotal moment in the movie's climax. We also get a few Christmas carols here too, with Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC playing earlier in the movie, while the happy ending credits go by with Let It Snow playing us out. Now I'm officially ready to dive back into my Christmas music playlists. If the naysayers out there aren't convinced yet, then why is there a Die Hard Christmas storybook complete with rhymes and pictures? Oh yes, this is real. And I know what you might be thinking. Die Hard is way too adult with violence and questionable language for it to be a Christmas family classic or a children's story. Well, fortunately there are censored versions out there with some creative choices to dub some of John McClane's famous one-liners. If you know, you know. These next two films show us that even our favorite costumed heroes know all about getting into the holiday spirit. To start us off, let's introduce the terror that flaps in the night. No, wait, that's Darkwing Duck. What I meant to say was Batman! After the box office and critical success of Tim Burton's 1989 movie Batman, starring Michael Keaton in the role, Burton was lured back for the 1992 sequel, Batman Returns, after arguing for more creative control this time around. And apparently, Burton didn't get enough of setting dark, gothic stories around the holiday season with Edward Scissorhands 2 years earlier, because Batman Returns is another genre-bending Christmas treat. After narrowly defeating Jack Nicholson's Joker in the first movie, Bruce Wayne returns to face two new villains, Danny DeVito's Penguin and Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. As if two villains weren't enough, we also have Christopher Walken as Max Schreck, the one seemingly at the center of all the chaos. Not only does Batman Returns take place during the festive season, it's a major part of the plot. It has to be Christmas for this movie to happen. Kind of. Well, it definitely helps. And similar to Die Hard, there are various holiday staples littered all throughout, like a wintry setting, colorful decorations, giant Christmas trees, and that iconic moment when a horde of villains dive out of a giant wrapped present to attack Gotham City. And to top it all off, Bruce Wayne and Alfred wish each other a Merry Christmas before the credits start to roll, while a clearly holiday-inspired Danny Elfman tune mixed with the Batman theme plays in the background. And the Cape Crusader is not the only one who had to save the day when he should be at home resting and trimming the tree. Our man Tony Stark once had to beat back the Mandarin-ish, Aldrich Killian, and the dangers of Extremis while almost ignoring the Christmas season. 2012's The Avengers was the first time anyone ever saw their favorite team of heroes on the big screen. And to say it was a success would be a massive understatement. While the Marvel Cinematic Universe has seen better days as of late, 11 years ago was a much different story. But while Phase 1 of the MCU had ended with that first big battle with Loki, fans would have to wait 1 year to see what would happen next. This time, moviegoers would be treated to a smaller solo Tony Stark adventure with Iron Man 3. Producer Kevin Feige made the wise choice to bring in writer-director Shane Black to helm Iron Man 3. And of course, it's set during Christmas. The Shane Black fans out there know this man loves the holiday. That's why movies like Lethal Weapon and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang are also associated with December 25th. I could have easily included them here too, but it can't all be Shane Black movies. Unless you want to have a Shane Black Friday movie marathon during the last weekend of November. I'm totally doing that next year. Admittedly, the references to the Christmas season are a bit lacking in Iron Man 3, but it's still worth watching every December. There's Tony Stark listening to Jingle Bells, there's decorations including a Christmas tree, and a stocking set up just for Jarvis in the background, and Tony tells the Mandarin that he has a special holiday message for him. Oh, and that epic action sequence at the end with all the Iron Man suits, it takes place on Christmas Eve. What a way to celebrate and end the year off with a bang. Alright, it's time to get spooky. There's nothing I love more than smashing together the joyous feeling of Christmas with the blood and guts of a fun horror movie. It can't just be me. Either way, let's get the obvious pick out of the way first. Gremlins is a 1980s horror classic that has some not so surprising holiday-related ties behind its production. Fans of Christmas films should recognize screenwriter Christopher Columbus, who would go on to direct Home Alone 1 and 2 and Christmas Chronicles 2. That's the one where Kurt Russell and his real-life wife play Mr. and Mrs. Claus. I know, right? Anyway, Gremlins was also produced by Steven Spielberg, and it definitely has that Amblin Entertainment magic, which is what keeps it from dipping into full-on horror. The story follows Billy Peltzer, who receives a strange creature called a Mogwai as a pet for Christmas, who he names Gizmo. He's warned never to expose Gizmo to light, get it wet, and to never feed it after midnight. Well, that doesn't last long, and soon enough, less cute and slightly more dangerous gremlins spawn from the original, with Stripe as a troublemaking ringleader of sorts. The gremlins continue to multiply and start rampaging throughout the town and terrorizing its citizens. And this is why Gremlins is a horror movie, but it's also absolutely a Christmas one too. We've got tons of snow, Christmas decorations, people and creatures dressed up in holiday garb, people watching Christmas movies in the background, and even a few songs, sung by human and gremlin carolers alike. We even get to see one of the most disturbing Santa-related stories ever when Billy's girlfriend Kate explains why she doesn't like the holiday. Yeah, the less said about that scene, the better. So yes, Gremlins is the perfect choice if you're looking for a little violent Yuletide fun. But what if you're looking for a horror movie that feels like a Hallmark Christmas special? Well then, let me introduce you to It's a Wonderful Knife. This comedy slasher film hit theaters in November of this year, and just started streaming on December 1st, so it's hot off the presses. If it's not obvious by the title, this one is a send-up of It's a Wonderful Life, but with a more macabre plot. When Winnie Carruthers saves her hometown from a crazed killer on Christmas Eve, she finds herself in an alternate timeline where she didn't exist and the killer never stopped killing. Just like Jimmy Stewart, right? I mean, sort of. While this is a slasher flick through and through with some pretty grisly death scenes, it's still surprisingly heartwarming, like a good/bad Hallmark Christmas movie should be. And more than anything else, it's a lot of fun with some super likable characters that are almost guaranteed to have you rooting for them at one moment and wiping tears of joy from your eyes at the next. This one should absolutely be watched alongside the ones you love most, as long as they don't mind a few squeamish scenes. Alright, we've talked about a few different movies that have covered a few different subgenres, but there's one that we've missed, and for many, it's the most important one: the Christmas musical. Whether the characters are singing renditions of your favorite carols, or the movie's introducing brand new songs that you'll definitely be adding to next year's playlist, there's no denying the appeal of catchy Christmas songs. And the last movie I want to talk about today is indeed a musical, and a comedy, and a horror movie with zombies. If you haven't seen it yet, let me introduce you to Anna and the Apocalypse. Think High School Musical meets Shaun of the Dead, with a bit of Christmas cheer thrown in for good measure. And I get it, it probably sounds like this one seems so overstuffed that it shouldn't work, but truthfully, it hits a lot more than it misses. So what's it even about? Well, when high schooler Anna decides she wants to leave her small town and travel for a year once she graduates, she's too distracted by her disappointed dad, her best friend who's secretly hiding a crush, and her general displeasure with life to notice the literal impending zombie apocalypse. From the relatable high school characters that remind you of all the teen drama archetypes, to the catchy musical numbers complete with choreographed dance scenes, and the creative Christmas-themed zombie kills, there's a lot to love about this British indie gem. And similar to Shaun of the Dead, while this is mainly a comedy set against a backdrop of musical zombie madness, there's also a lot of heart. And the emotional moments hit a little harder here because, hey, it's Christmas. And that soundtrack. While not every song is a certified banger, don't be surprised if you find yourself humming or even singing a few of them long after you've watched it. And a lot of them definitely have that infectious Broadway musical energy, where you'll find yourself helplessly grinning while tapping your feet. Most of the cast here are relative newcomers, and they're all decent singers, but I do have to single out Game of Thrones' Paul Kaye as the menacing vice principal. You could tell he's having the time of his life here, and whenever he speaks, or sings, I can't get enough of his almost cartoonish performance. Alright, let's cut this here, because you should totally see and hear the rest of this film with fresh eyes and ears. If this one flew under your radar back in 2017, absolutely check it out, and I promise you'll thank me later. But what about you? What are some unconventional holiday favorites that go outside what we traditionally think of as a Christmas movie? Let me know all about it down in the comments below, and until next time, I think I'll let John McClane play us out with his classic catchphrase.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Falcon Punch!